All right, now calling the matter of the state of Georgia versus Kevin Lamar. And these are warrants number 2024 WA 77457, robbery by sudden snatching, 2024 WA 77458, battery.
Judge, your video isn't on.
Okay. It's still not on?
It's on now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. And so also 2024 WA 77459, disorderly conduct. 2024 WA 77460, wearing a mask. 2024 WA 77461, simple battery on an officer. Representing the state is Attorney Freeman, representing the defendant, Attorney Rogers. Your witness, Attorney Freeman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Garcia, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear in the front that the testimony you're about to provide in the matter of state of Georgia versus Kevin Lamar will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can lower your hand. Please tell us your name and how you're employed.
Officer Garcia, I work for Clayton County Police Department.
How long have you worked with the Clayton County Police Department?
I'm going on 7 years.
Were you working with the Clayton County Police Department on May 24th of 2024?
Yes.
On that particular day, did you respond to 7935 Terra Boulevard in reference to a disturbance?
Yes.
Can you tell us what is at this address?
It's a Walgreens.
What did you learn that happened when you arrived at the Walgreens?
Well, prior to arrival, dispatch advised that there was two subjects in the parking lot fighting, one with the stick and the other one was trying to fight the other person. When I showed up, Mr. Lamar was taking up a fighting stance to fight the victim. We finally got everything under control and tried to speak to everybody. And that's when Mr. Lamar told us that he walked up to the victim and asked him if he could withdraw, if Mr. Lamar would send the victim $400 through Cash App, could the victim withdraw it from the ATM? The victim agreed. So they went over to the ATM, and apparently Mr. Lamar got impatient and started yelling at the victim and then snatched his phone and walked outside the store.
Was the ATM inside of Walgreens?
Yes.
And when you say that the victim, is this Mr. Thomas Worthen?
Yes.
Did the victim and Mr. Lamar know each other before this incident?
No.
Was any of this captured on video?
Yes.
Okay. Were you able to review the video?
Yes.
Please tell us, what did the video show that happened?
In the video, it shows that the victim was at the ATM and Mr. Lamar was sort of like pacing back and forth, and then you can see him yelling at the victim and then snatching his phone and walking outside the door.
Did Mr. Lamar ever strike Mr. Worthen during this incident?
When he made contact to get the phone, yes.
Is that the basis for the simple battery?
On the victim, yes.
There was also a simple battery on a law enforcement officer. Tell us what happened with that.
So once we had him in custody, he began to kick the partition in the back that divides the driver area and the passenger where the prisoner is. I told him to stop kicking because it was making the rifle hit me. He continued to kick, and the rifle just continued to hit me.
Was this while Mr. Lamar was inside of the patrol car?
Correct.
Were you able to get the victim's cell phone back?
Yes, I was. Mr. Lamar still had possession of it, and that's how we were able to return it back to him.
At any time, did the victim say he gave Mr. Lamar permission to have his cell phone?
No.
If you could, Officer Garcia, tell us when you first made contact with Mr. Lamar, what was he wearing?
He was wearing a mask. It was more so like a ski mask.
How much of his face did the mask cover?
It was the only thing that you could see was his eyes.
Did Mr. Lamar have the mask on when he snatched Mr. Worthen's phone?
Yes. He had the mask during the whole encounter.
Did Mr. Worthen write a statement?
Yes.
Has his statement been placed into evidence?
It was attached to our paperwork at the end of the night.
Were there any other witnesses at Walgreens to this incident?
The manager was able to was the one that was able to provide the video footage to us.
Was he there during this incident?
Yeah, she was there. She was the one saying that the Mr. Lamar was causing a scene, yelling and cussing.
Did the manager write a statement?
I can't remember entirely on that. I believe so, but I can't say for sure.
The video that you retrieved, has that been placed into evidence?
It should be attached to our report.
Did all this happen in Clayton County?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, go ahead, Attorney Rogers.
Thank you. Officer Garcia, you're the lead officer on this case,
Yes.
and you prepared a report, correct?
Did I what?
You prepared a report.
That was my trainee under my guidance.
So you said, well, let me make sure I'm clear. You're saying you didn't write the report, the trainee wrote the report.
Under my guidance, he wrote the report.
Okay. So I guess I'm not, so the trainee wrote the report then.
Correct, but I still have to review the report for it to be approved. So
Okay.
both
So that's
for
what, so then let me make sure I'm understanding. You're saying the trainee wrote the report and then you reviewed it.
correct. We worked on the report together.
And everything that you've discussed so far is, as far as what you participated in, is that all kept on body cam?
Correct.
And let me ask you, at some point, I think you said that the parties were not familiar with one another. Who told you that?
They both did. They said the victim had said that Mr. Lamar had just walked up to him and asked him about the money. If he would withdraw the money, if he would transfer him through Cash App.
Is Mr. Lamar supposed to be paying him to do this?
Yes.
You know how much he was paying him?
I don't recall the correct amount right now.
And just kind of make sure I'm clear. So Mr. Lamar transfers, is it approximately, I believe it's $400, I think is what I saw,
Believe so.
to Mr. Wortham's Cash App, correct?
Correct.
And then Mr. Wortham is supposed to make a withdrawal at the ATM to return or to give the money, the cash money, to Mr. Lamar.
Correct.
And so where does that part happen? Does that happen at the Walgreens or does that happen before the Walgreens? Do you know?
That was at the Walgreens. They said that the victim stated that he walked up to him as he was about to cross the street onto Terra Boulevard.
And if I'm not mistaken, you all, well, did you all confirm that the money was actually sent from?
Yes.
And so at the ATM, how long approximately if you recall, about how long are they at the ATM?
I don't recall.
Well, let's see if we can narrow it down. Are they there for an hour or less?
No, I don't know. Probably less. I don't know.
So you're saying you don't. Well, let me ask: did you see the entire time that they were at the ATM?
I did not review the video footage. A secondary officer reviewed the video footage and sent me the clip of the phone snatching.
So all you've seen is just an excerpt, basically. Just how long was the clip you saw?
I would have to review the clip again.
So you don't know what went on, but you don't know what went on before or after that in the video.
After the video is when we got called.
No, I'm saying the clip that you saw is just a part of the video. So you don't know what happened before or after.
You just said before or after. After is what happened when I got called. Before, I don't know.
Let's be clear. I'm talking about the clip. You don't know what happened on the video after the part that you saw.
Correct.
And you don't know what happened before that on the video. Is that correct?
I just answered yes.
Okay. But yeah, I don't need the questions from you. So what I want to make sure we're clear on is the video that you've seen. You don't know how long it was, but you just know it's not the entire video, correct?
Correct.
Does the video, the part that you saw, does it show them approaching the ATM?
No.
And the part that you saw, does it show them when you arrive, where are the parties at? Are they inside, outside? Where are they?
They are outside.
So do you see the parties move away from the ATM in the video that you've seen?
Yes.
Do you see them, where do they go from there once they move away from the ATM?
They're at the front door.
And does Mr. Lamar, after he has possession of the phone, does he ever try to leave the area?
I don't know. He stays around when we got there. They were too busy trying to fight.
So when you get there, he's there. Did anybody tell you that he left the area?
No, they were too busy trying to fight each other.
So then I guess just so we're clear on the answer to the question, no, he did not leave the area.
No.
And he didn't damage the phone, correct?
Correct.
Didn't hide the phone or anything like that?
Nope.
Who called the police? Do you know?
Several people. There was several phone numbers that linked to the CAD call. He claimed that he was one of the callers.
When you say he, you mean Mr. Lamar?
Yes, your client.
And I know you said you confirmed that the money had been sent to the account. Was it still on Mr. Wortham's Cash App account at the point that you all reviewed it?
Well, before we left the scene, we asked him to return the money back, and we confirmed that the money was returned back to Mr. Lamar.
Okay. So, and that's what I just want to make sure I'm clear. So when you all arrived, the money is still on Mr. Wortham's phone or
Correct.
his cash?
The Cash App.
And Mr. Lamar, if I understood you correctly, he says the issue was that the Wortham, I guess, was taking too long or something along those lines to get the money out of the ATM.
Correct.
And you mentioned somebody having a stick at some point. Was that Mr. Wortham?
Yes.
I know you said you agreed that, it's supposed to be a transfer, but is that also what Mr. Wortham said too? That he was supposed to be getting the money transferred and giving it to Mr. Lamar?
Correct.
Did Mr. Lamar tell you whether or not he had asked Mr. Wortham to send the money back to his account?
Say that again. You broke up.
Said, did Mr. Lamar tell you that he had asked Mr. Wortham to send the money back to his account?
After he had taken the phone, yes.
No further questions at this time.
All right, any redirect, Attorney Freeman?
No, Your Honor, the state rests.
All right, closing arguments, Attorney Freeman?
The state waives opening.
All right, go ahead, Attorney Rogers.
Thank you, Judge. I think hang on one second if you give me a moment. I just want to kind of pare down the argument. I think I would submit as it relates to the allegation on the simple battery, those two charges. As it relates to the rest of them, I'll start with the robbery. The testimony, as I understand it, is that essentially Mr. Lamar is trying to recover his property. At that point, it seems undisputed that Mr. Lamar has transferred approximately $400 to Mr. Wortham, who's supposed to withdraw the cash and give it to Mr. Lamar. Under their agreement, the money is always still Mr. Lamar's. Mr. Lamar got concerned apparently that things weren't happening as quickly as they should, and this being somebody he doesn't know, he gets a little bit concerned about what's going to happen to his property. He takes steps to prevent the conversion of his property or the loss of his property by taking possession of the phone. I would say, Your Honor, that's akin to if I have somebody, that's supposed to be taking my money to the bank for me or something like that, and I've given them the cash and they put the money in a bag, and then I start to have concerns that they're not going to do, what was agreed to. I have the right to defend my property. It needs to be reasonable and within certain bounds and whatnot. But what Mr. Lamar was seeking, it appears, is just the return of his own property. He wasn't looking to take the property of someone else. The fact that he had to secure the phone so that the property could not be transferred or something else. Because when we're talking about a cash out, Mr. Wortham was free to send the money to another account or just not to withdraw it at that point. So Mr. Lamar, being concerned, wants to secure the phone. He doesn't run off from the location. He doesn't try to take it and hide it, doesn't destroy it, damage it, anything like that. He doesn't try to hide himself. Mr. Lamar, according to the officer's testimony, told them that he called the police. He's still on scene when they get there. So to try to turn essentially Mr. Lamar's attempt to protect and or recover his property into a robbery allegation simply because he had to secure the phone to prevent that conversion, I think that is a step too far. I think anybody would do that. Just because you put somebody else's property in a bag doesn't mean that they can't get the bag to get their property back, which is essentially what we're talking about here. Like I said, if it was a robbery, there's no testimony or anything stopped Mr. Lamar from leaving the location. He wasn't, physically touched. The two parties are separated, squared up. If Mr. Lamar wanted to run off, he was free to have done that. So all of that goes to show that it wasn't Mr. Lamar's intent to deprive anyone of their property. His intent was to prevent being deprived of his own property. That's perfectly lawful, Your Honor. So for that reason, I would ask that the robbery charge be dismissed. The disorderly conduct, not really sure exactly that there's been testimony sufficient to support a finding of disorderly conduct. There was talk about causing a scene, but that there's a lot of ways to cause a scene. Not all of them rise to the level of disorderly conduct. There's no testimony that people, at any particular distance could hear anything. Simply having an argument with somebody is not in and of itself disorderly conduct. He's not breaking property, not, throwing stuff around, anything like that. None of that's being alleged. So that's that the disorderly conduct be dismissed. As it relates to the mask wearing charge, there's a case, Hutzel v. State, 359 Georgia App 493. It's a 2021 case. In that case, the Court of Appeals notes that, and I'm reading directly from this is at page 496, that our Supreme Court has held that to obtain a conviction under OCGA 161138A, the state must show that the mask wearer intended to conceal his identity, and two, I intended to threaten, intimidate, or provoke the apprehension of violence or acted with reckless disregard for the consequences of his conduct or a heedless indifference to the rights and safety of others with reasonable foresight that injury will probably result. That's not what happened here. It appears that if we accept officer's testimony at face value, okay, Mr. Lamar is wearing a mask. That's not sufficient. There's no basis to say that he intended to threaten, intimidate, or provoke the apprehension of violence. It's not like they're saying he put the mask on to recover the phone or anything like that. So for that reason, Your Honor, I would ask that the mask wearing charge be dismissed for lack of probable cause. As I said, I would submit on the remainder.
All right,
Judge,
go ahead, Attorney Freeman.
thank you, Judge. We're asking that all the charges are bound over to Superior Court. Regarding the robbery, Judge, Mr. Lamar had already, he had, whatever they had done this transaction with the $400 that Mr. Worthen had, Mr. Lamar got upset that it was taking too long. And it wasn't his money he took, but he snatched Mr. Worthen's phone. He didn't have permission to take the phone. As small as it may sound, he took this man's property from his possession without his permission. That is a robbery by sudden snatching. It had nothing to do with him getting his cash. From what the testimony has been, is Mr. Worthen was at the ATM, was trying to finish the transaction, but Mr. Lamar didn't think he was going quick enough, and he snatched his phone. That is the robbery, Judge. We also heard the testimony that the manager at Walgreens even stated that Mr. Lamar was causing this disturbance. He had gotten into this arguing match with the victim, but him snatching the phone was part of that disorderly conduct. And we heard Officer Garcia say that the manager is the one who provided that information. Regarding the mask, Judge, Mr. Lamar had on a full mask that covered his entire face except for his eyes. He had that mask on during the entire incident with the victim, with snatching the phone and causing the disturbance. So we are asking that all of these charges are bound over to Superior Court.
All right, based upon the evidence presented, I do find that there is sufficient probable cause to bind all his charges over to the Superior Court, Clayton County. That's the order of the court.
Thank you, Judge. And may Officer Garcia be excused.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Officer Garcia. Have a good one.
Thank you, you too.
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Deputies, do you all have Mr. Wellmaker?
Your do, Miss Payne. He ready too. I'll get him for you, ma'am.
Okay, I think the judge has to ask him some questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Hey, you can take phrase up to Charlie 3. That's because, we got 2 people on trial up there on Charlie 3.
Your Honor, we're still live on YouTube.
He gonna take 3 trays.